Kyle pretty much said nothing. And then Woody asked, no reaction. And like when he starts drinking, he also starts playing WWE Champions. Then I would get back for like claiming rainbow skins at this point in my life.
Say my name.
Breaking Banquet.
You're goddamn right.
I watched the clip where Taylor talked about him going on the dating website, and I think the reaction from the guys was terrible, right? Kyle pretty much said nothing, and then Woody asked how it hurt him financially. It's not like, are you doing okay, man? I'm sorry that your long-term relationship didn't work out. You know, it's fucked up that somebody wanted to cheat on you while you were there for them. You know, the whole thing. But like, no reaction. And then asking how it's affecting him, like, financially is the wrong fucking move. It's just the wrong fucking move. Do I think Siege will ever die out? Yes. I think Siege is already in the process of dying. I'm basically a Redditor. I don't consider myself a Redditor because, like, that would mean that me using a website is part of my identity, and it's not. That's like saying, I'm a PlayStation, I'm a Sony pony, but I'm not a Sony pony. It's one of these things. Thought about DSPL switching PayPal accounts for the week during 1K well donations occurring. Was he avoiding chargebacks or skating taxes? That wouldn't work either way. Let me get to your question. I'll get right back to your question, Chucky. Thank you for the 5. I love you, Wings. Kyle needs to stop watching TV and do things in real life like you. You have to do things to be entertaining. Like, cause like you got to be constantly be changing or adjusting your life. PayPal, you have to put in a tax identification number. And even if you had multiple accounts, they would all be tied to you or to your bank account. So all of them would go, PayPal pays out 1099K. So at the end of the year, they send you a W-2, well, a 1099K stating how much money went through your PayPal account. That was a net positive. So like changing PayPal accounts has nothing to do with skirting taxes, or you can't use it to skirt taxes because of that. Again, regardless, what you're trying to say is he has, like, that is one way that could happen, I guess, Chucky. You could be right about that. He could be using an LLC on his PayPal account and a personal PayPal account there, but he would get 2 different 1099Ks. So you could skirt a little taxes, but it's not illegal what he's doing if he's doing it that way. Because, like, depending on how he pays himself with his LLC, that the money would still be taxed, if that makes sense. How do I feel about DSP saying I was a bum? Like, a lot of people call me a bum, Josh. Like, I'm 37. I'm married. I have my own home. I have my own land. I mean, there isn't a gate between me. But at the same effect, I don't have to call my daddy to learn how to change a tire. Phil does that kind of mess. Like, Phil would moved across the fucking country to try to save on taxes. Donations are taxed. Donations are looked more as tips than actual donations, because unless you're like a tax-free organization like a church or something, everything's looked at as like a tip, like you're a waitress or something of that nature. That's exactly why he moved to Washington. No income tax. I just think Phil never had anybody, like, I think Phil hides his problems with alcohol, right? And when he hides his feelings with alcohol, it's a double-edged sword, because one, he doesn't have anxiety thinking about this money has to last, or what about next month or tomorrow, whatever it might be? What if, the transmission went out in my car? So there's never a savings account or like an emergency account. And like when he starts drinking, he also starts playing WWE Champions. And WWE Champions ends up costing him a second mortgage. Why would DSP use a personal PayPal for a week if he wasn't doing something sus? I reported him to the IRS for specific info. Hopefully they catch on. That's a little rough, Chuck, honestly. Again, like if you have 2 different PayPal accounts, they would both be taxed. The only thing about it is like one would be taxed at a higher rate than another. But that's determining if Phil actually uses his LLC to pay himself and not use it as just this isn't a Phil problem. I dealt with a lot of young men back in the day that had LLCs, which is a limited liability corporation, that they only had like a company in name only, versus like a company that actually acted as a company. Like, the reason you have an LLC is so like if something was to happen, they would sue the LLC and you just file bankruptcy on the LLC and and not have it affect your personal life. That's why they're called limited liability corporations. But like a lot of people would just have an LLC set up and they would just take all the money all the time and not use it as like a business account and pay themselves. I just don't see where Phil would be breaking any tax code by having two different PayPal accounts if one is his LLC and one isn't. He would get taxed, but like he'd probably get taxed at a lesser fraction, but like it's perfectly legal in the United States what he's doing. How's the roof coming, Pimp? My roof is completely fixed. My homeowner's insurance covered it for hail damage. You can, lady, you can write stuff off for your business, especially if you have an LLC. Jack, I'll get right to your question here in a second. But for me personally, I have such low overhead for my business that it's easier just to file the standard deduction with marriage than I would get back for like claiming rainbow skins at this point in my life. Jack Johnson, who would win, LTG or Keemstar, and what? A fight? A business agreement? I'm assuming a fight. I'm going with Low Tier God over Keemstar in a fight. Keemstar is probably about 5'10", 5'11". Low Tier God is over 6 feet tall. And Keemstar is getting his workout game on now, but I just feel like Low Tier God has his workout game on point. I think Low Tier God wins that fight. Thoughts on Rodeo music? I don't know what that is. Keem ain't 5'8". Keem is 5'10", 5'11". Like Boogie is 5'9" and Keem is taller than Boogie. I'm 6 foot. So like if you look at me standing next to Boogie, there's about 3 or 4 inch difference. Thoughts on Cat C15? I don't know what you're referring to. If Keem spit my wife's, if DSP spit my wife's face, what my next course of action would be to give him a combo, 2 pieces and a biscuit, because spitting in somebody's face is considered assault. So I'd be well in my rights to defend her. I don't know anything about Caterpillar diesel engines. I'm not very knowledgeable about most diesels. I think EDP deserves an ass kicking, but I don't think anybody would pay him to get his ass beat. I'd like to see EDP versus Billy the Fridge. Since they used to be boys, let Billy the Fridge take all that aggression out on him. Shit, I'd fight EDP. Dude, DSP doesn't want to work with anybody because DSP doesn't want to lose any kind of creative control. And the fact is, if DSP had to be in something like Fish Tank, you'd see his alcoholism come out. Because when people that are alcoholics get into a situation where they can't consume alcohol, they get this thing called the shakes. And DSP would be shaking like a leaf on a tree if he had to be like 2 or 3 days without his gin. If my blood's dipping at all, like I haven't got hypoglycemic in a while because I've been taking my one-a-days, and I also have been taking my vitamin D's. I want to show this one. This one has addresses and stuff on it. But I've been taking my 50,000 vitamin D. I've been taking my one-a-days. As long as I keep my blood right, I don't get hypoglycemic. But if I neglect some of my stuff or my medicine, I do. Who would win a fight, you or Penguin Zero? I would beat his ass. So that wouldn't even be a fight. Dude's like 160 pounds. Like, it all depends on where the fight would happen. If the fight happened in like a small room or a ring, I'm winning. If it happened in a parking lot, he'd win because he'd wear me out running away. How do I get a real 5K box Phil at a gym? Honestly, if I could get Phil to fight, I could get Phil money. I guarantee you I could get Phil at least $15,000 to fight right now. Right now. Anybody. It doesn't matter who. He could fight Panda Lee, far as I care. I could get him $15,000 to fight right now. I can't 100% guarantee it, but I can 90% guarantee I can get $15K in Phil's pocket if he'd agree to a fight. Well, the fact is, you can't look at it like that. You got to look at it like work-wise. Like all you got to do is 4 days of work for that $15K. You got to do your weigh-in. You got to cut some promos. You got to do You got to do weigh-in, you got to cut some promos, you got to do like a press conference, and then you got to show up and fight. Like 15K is good for 4 days of work. Like, because nobody expects Phil to win. I'm always trying to lose weight. Problem is, I'm really good at finding that shit too. Dog, I don't know. Like here's the thing with Phil. Like, he can make easy money. We'd have 16-ounce gloves. There's a doctor at the side of his corner. There's cut men. Like, you seen how bad I put it on Boogie. And Boogie came out without a scratch on his face. His eyes weren't swollen, didn't break his nose or anything. I mean, he probably got his bell rung really bad. But the gloves are basically pillows. So, like, he wouldn't hurt himself at all. The only thing to get hurt is his pride. He's got a bad back. Dude, I fought Boogie with a pinched nerve in my hip. I pretty much couldn't pivot to my right side. It'll be alright. Phil ain't gonna last 12 rounds, dog. You might as well do 3 2-minute rounds. No person that isn't conditioned to box is gonna do 12 rounds. Do you believe Cyrex will win in a boxing match? No. I honestly don't think Cyrex could beat anybody on this planet up that has all their working like limbs. I think if Cyrex versus DSP, I'm 100% going for a DSP win. That's a DSP win by exhaustion. Because I think both of them will be punching like you punch when you're asleep. You know that. Dude, Moist Critical versus Cyrex. Dude, again, like if a person has both arms and both legs and can stand up for more than 5 minutes, I'm picking them over Cyrex. What about Jared Genesis? I don't know. Like, I've seen, like, I don't know much about Jared Genesis. I know he lost like an MMA fight against like a student of the Green Rangers, and he threatened to beat his dad up on camera, but I don't know a lot about him. I don't know anything about King Cobra either, but I know he's got some stupid ass lizard, and that shit's on his last legs. He is not able to take care of a pet.